Okay, so I don't know how long this video needs to be, especially if you are a fan of the Montreal Canadiens or the Ottawa Senators, because today we are talking about Detroit Red Wings prospect Jonatan Berggren once again. Because it turns out there seems to be an update in regards to the teams that are involved in his trade discussions, so we're making this video just to keep up with the story a little bit, add some flavor to the discussion that is Berggren trade talks. Now, if you needed the update, if you needed the scoop, we have talked about Berggren in the context of him getting traded a bunch over the channel, but long story short, he's 23 years old, he's a pretty young forward who had a pretty good season last year with the Red Wings getting 28 points in 67 games played. This season, though, he has been a Grand Rapids Griffins guy. He is over a point per game in the AHL with 37 and 34 games, and his limited stint in the NHL, which saw him put up 5 points in 9 games played, was pretty good, too. He doesn't require waivers, which is one of the reasons he's been going up and down between the Red Wings and the Grand Rapids Griffins quite often this season. And as a guy who's on the last year of his ELC, you could very well say that for Berggren himself, there could be a desire for him to get traded elsewhere and thus get used more. We had discussed the Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators as potential trade targets because, firstly, they were linked to him in conversations surrounding the Red Wings, but also because the Canadiens and the Senators are younger. The Red Wings, with their Steve Yzerman on-the-fly retool, have themselves quite a few middle-aged guys, and whilst that's not a bad thing on paper, sure, it bodes for some embarrassing performances like the one you had seen against the Oilers the other night, but still, the Wings are contending for that playoff spot. These veteran guys, the Andrew Kopps, the JT Compher's, the middle-aged guys are doing their jobs, and if you wanted to say that Berggren could be an NHL player right now, I don't think that's that bad of an assessment at all. I think it's very fair that this is an NHL caliber talent who is just not being played in the NHL. So if you go over to a team like Ottawa or a team like Montreal, younger teams that have more spots to lose and not really too many stakes heading into the 2023-2024 playoffs, then maybe there is a better opportunity for Berggren to play more and just exhibit the league more, have another full season of NHL hockey under his belt. But it turns out Montreal and Ottawa are not the only two teams that are apparently involved in Berggren talks. Let's head over to the fourthperiod.com because the latest edition of the 2024 Trade Watch list has just been updated. Last time we looked at it, it was updated as of February 7th. Now it's updated as of February 12th, so 2 days ago. And if you scroll down to the conversation about Jonatan Berggren, he is listed at number 29. Here is the write-up that we have read multiple times before. As the fourth period's David Pagnotta first reported in early December, the Red Wings have been dangling Berggren as trade bait and seem willing to move him in the right deal. His ELC expires after this season. Now, the new teams that are reportedly linked, in addition to Montreal and Ottawa, are the Anaheim Ducks and the Arizona Coyotes. Now, you probably already knew that from the title and from the thumbnail, but this opens the door to an even stronger bidding war. And that rhymes, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now. Last time we had talked about Berggren, we'd already discussed that there was a bidding war in play here, how because the Canadiens and the Senators would be maybe trying to one-up each other in some sort of a deal for Berggren, it could get the Red Wings some pretty good moolah for this kind of a trade. But what if that trade conversation evolves to having more teams involved? It's not just Montreal and Ottawa trying to one-up each other for this prospect who was pretty good in the NHL last year, it's Arizona and Anaheim too. And this opens the door for an even bigger package, assuming these other teams would very much like to get Berggren for their squads as well. Now, the same philosophy kind of applies here to Anaheim and to Arizona, since both of these teams are not doing all too hot. The Coyotes are second last in the Central Division, and the Ducks are second last in the Pacific. They're not doing all too well. They've got young guys, they've got talent, and if they really wanted to bolster the future, then hey, maybe getting a guy like Berggren to be a middle to top six forward on your team is a pretty nice option to have. For the Anaheim Ducks, if you go over to their lines via dailyfaceoff.com, there are some pretty good names that are listed over here. You've got guys that are going to get traded, like Adam Henrique at the top of that forward core, but Leo Carlsson, Mason McTavish, Isaac Lundestrom, even on the fourth line, you've got Benoit Olivier Giroux, and then Trevor Zegras is injured, so he's not listed right now, and who knows if he's going to get traded himself. But if you had yourselves Leo Carlsson, Isaac Lundestrom, and Jonatan Berggren, that could be a pretty good Swedish connection, not to mention Jakob Silfverberg, who is still here as well. That's not even mentioning the Anaheim Ducks and the decor they have heading into the future. They've got so many young defenders that are looking to be fantastic, from the Pavel Mintyukovs to the Tristan Luneaus. You used to have Jamie Drysdale, he's gone, but hey, in his place you've got Jackson Lacombe. It's pretty good over there in Anaheim. So if this team is looking to get a little bit younger, and if the Wings are trying to maybe bolster their playoff chances for this year, do you think about some sort of a trade for a guy like Henrique? I mean, his name has been tossed around in a bunch of trade rumors. His name is included on that same fourth period trade watch list that we just looked at. So I don't want to say a Henrique for Bergren trade is the one that makes the most sense, or that a Bergren-Henrique trade is something that Wings fans would like, but philosophically speaking, if the Wings wanted to try to bolster their team right now, I could understand it. Although, you could very well say that's not really the direction that Steve Yzerman should go. There are conversations as well about the Wings selling off some of their own assets, the David Perrons, the Patrick Kanes, so if they decide to sell, then why would they want to get a rental like Adam Henrique? It is just interesting, though, considering the fact that Berggren is apparently on the market and being dangled, because that's like the only thing that I could really see the Anaheim Ducks being interested in here. If they were to touch a Berggren trade, like they wouldn't want to trade away a young prospect for Berggren, that'd be kind of counterintuitive, right? So it would have to be either a pick or something that affects the team right now. It's kind of interesting from the Anaheim POV. And then if you go over to the Arizona Coyotes, they have a similar thing going on. Jack McBain is a top player on this team. First-line center. My goodness, I didn't even realize he was that good. Logan Cooley, Dylan Genther, Matthias Michelli. Lots of young guys on the Arizona Coyotes. If you add Berggren, that's a good element of scoring prowess there. The Arizona Coyotes also aren't really doing all too hot, so if you talk about them heading into the future, trying to build for the future, it's kind of a tale that we've heard of for years now. Like, every single year we hear about the Arizona Coyotes getting younger and getting better and getting these younger guys, and it's always good for them, but they're never able to put it together to an extreme magnitude. I mean, they're still one of the last teams in their own division, so maybe a guy like Berggren helps speed that process up. Maybe he gets a little bit more of a scoring touch into that top six, and hopefully carries some of the other guys that are progressing and developing within this organization as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Red Wings fan, what are your opinions on the Arizona Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks joining the Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Senators in Jonatan Berggren trade talks? Out of these four teams, which asset do you think is the most desired when it comes to a Berggren trade? And it has to be like realistic. Don't say Berggren for a first-round pick and Cole Caulfield or something like that. Is there a certain prospect from either the Ducks, the Canadiens, the Sens, or the Coyotes that you like more so than others? Is there a name, a rental name, or a roster forward right now that you think would get the trade done for Berggren? What are your thoughts on either of these four franchises, and if you had to rank them, which ones do you think would make the most sense if you were to trade Berggren yourself? Also, if you're a fan of the Arizona Coyotes, yeah, I know you exist, don't worry. Arizona Coyotes fans are alive and well. What are your thoughts on the idea of acquiring a guy like Jonatan Berggren? If you're a fan of the Anaheim Ducks, same thing. Disneyland special, everybody. Is that what's going on over here? And then, of course, if you're a Canadiens or a Senators fan, what are your thoughts about this as well? What exactly is the max you would be willing to pay if it's for a Jonatan Berggren-like asset? Now that there are four teams involved, you could very well say that this bidding war can grow to a pretty big magnitude. So how exactly does that change your perspective on your willingness to make this trade? If you're Montreal, you're negotiating with Detroit, and your only competition is Ottawa, then okay, maybe it's a little bit manageable, but now you're competing with two other organizations on the West Coast. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Jonatan Berggren trade update. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.